Welcome to the Real News Network. The latest military surge of the Sri Lankan government has left the LTTE, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, encircled and besieged in a 30-kilometer square in the northeast of Sri Lanka. 150,000 civilians are trapped between government forces and Tamil rebels in the northeast, amounting to a humanitarian crisis. Some estimate 40 people are being killed every single day. No international agencies or humanitarian missions are being allowed into the area. The journalists that are normally covering this conflict has been threatened and pushed out of the country. A number of them have exiled themselves, including Sunanda Deshapriya. He joins us today from Geneva. Sunanda, you've been covering this conflict since 1983 when the conflict began. Yet, in this surge, the government of Sri Lanka is justifying this war as a war on terror. Is that a correct typification?
Well, war on terror has different interpretations according to the situation. There is, of course, terrorism coming from LTTE also. At the same time, this is mainly a political problem. And all governments has to try to find out a political solution as well as a military solution. But the difference between this government is single-mindedly pursuing only military option, thinking that this is a military issue, this is a terrorist issue, and it has to have a military option. That's the difference between previous governments and this government.
Sunanda, there are a number of journalists who have exiled themselves because of security reasons, mainly that they have been receiving threats, including yourself. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, last 3 years has been unprecedented in media suppression in Sri Lanka. The report card, if you look at it, it's very grim. We had 20 journalists and media workers killed in last 3 years. More than 50 journalists have left the country in self-exile. And more than 20 journalists have been arrested, have been in detention from 3 months to 1 year, and some of them are still in detention. And hundreds of journalists have been intimidated. Newspaper offices have been threatened, sometimes set on fire, sometimes closed by force. We all know 8th January, Lasantha Wickramatunge, Sandali Reddy was killed. After his death, 35 journalists left the country.
Including yourself, Sunanda. You yourself had to leave the country because of threats that you received.
Yes, I left the country to India for some time because after Lasantha, everyone thought that we being the media activists, we have been campaigning for press freedom last 3 years. We have been in the forefront of defending human democratic rights as well as the press freedom in the country. So we had received so many threats. We have been named and shamed by government official websites as traitors.
Sunanda, the international community is calling for a truce in order to assist the people that are caught up in this conflict, particularly the civilian population. Yet the government is refusing a truce. They're saying that whenever there's a truce, the both parties part, then there is negotiations, discussions about peace, and then a few months later the fighting resumes. So can you comment on that? Why is the government refusing to take a pause right now?
There are two reasons for this. Because this time, this call for truce is coming on mainly on humanitarian grounds, not on political grounds. Earlier, the call for peace negotiations came from to find out a political solution and kind of a devolution of power to the north and east provinces. But this time, as we all know that more than 150,000 people are trapped in these areas. Today, reports say last hospital was closed down.
Sunanda, the International Committee of the Red Cross is claiming there's 150,000 plus civilians trapped between the LTTE and the government forces. What's happening there?
What happened actually when the government forces advanced from to the north, and the people also, LTTE organized people also to retreat with them, and probably around 200,000 people, more than that, and slowly retreated to the LTTE held areas, and that's how we have 150,000 people trapped in there. There are some jungle areas, but there are some areas, built up areas also. And this area, what has happened now, government forces have encircled this area for like more than a month, but they're inching forward because there have been heavy civilian casualties and resistance from the tigers also. Under this situation, because last month There has not been enough medical supply to these areas. It's only the ICRC to the sea send food and take the patients back to government controlled areas. In this situation, that international community has been asking government to negotiate with LTTE to temporary truce to evacuate the people. But LTTE position has been that government should first ask from the people whether they want to leave these areas or they want to live in these areas. LTTE actually does not like, seems, the evacuating these people because then they will do not have the human shield for themselves. On the other hand, government has not shown human concern to stop the war and to give these people some time to get out of these areas. And both sides at this time are looking at only achieving their military objectives.
What are those military objectives? What do you think the government wants to achieve in this surge?
This government came to power on the promise that they will defeat the LTTE militarily and unify the country. So government wants to capture whole land in the northern province, bring the whole land under military control, and say that they have unified the country.
Essentially, they want to bring down the LTTE completely.
Well, this is a conventional war is what is coming to an end. According to the General Sarath Fonseca, commander of the Sri Lankan military army, according to him, he said on record that there will be at least 1,000 guerrillas fighting for 10 years because LTTE will have diaspora support as well as some support from the people. And kind of a guerrilla war, we don't know how far the guerrilla struggle will be stronger, but definitely all military experts said this is only the first phase, there will be 2 phases of the war.
Sunanda, what do we know about what is happening to the civilians trapped there?
It's really a human tragedy at unprecedented level. And in Sri Lanka, I think we never had a man-made tragedy like this in the recent history. At least more than according to all reports, we have reliable reports coming from church sources and medical sources and from international sources. 40 to 50, 60 people die every day. And children, women and men are dying there because of the fighting. And these people just not have enough to eat. Today it was reported that doctors are using bed sheets as bandages because they don't have any bandage. And there's no painkillers for people who are caught between the war, both sides. And no medical supplies and no shelters for people. And there was a flood 2 weeks ago. There was heavy rain and there was a flood 2 weeks ago. Looks like government has stopped shelling and using heavy artillery now. But still, civilian casualties are taking place in unprecedented level in these areas. The thing is that actually the problem is that there's no discussion in the country about this because there's no independent reports coming from these areas. No journalists are allowed. No international organization is allowed. What we get is from partial reports from both sides, whatever side. So that's one reason that there's no informed discussion in the country as well as in the world.
Sunanda, you have the unique opportunity of presenting to the Human Rights Council and alerting the international community. What are you saying to them?
We have been telling them that government and LTTE both has to stop fighting at least for time. And it's a humanitarian tragedy, and we should look at the people's issues and how to get these people, give them enough supplies, and send them food, send them medical supplies, and treat these as citizens of our own country, not as a combatants, not as part of the tiger, part of the LTTE. That's what has been happening in practice because government has been trying to capture the area, a very small area, but they have been attacking these areas, and even there have been deaths in safe zone as well. So, in short, what we are saying that Sri Lankan government has to accept international humanitarian law and act according to the international humanitarian law.
Are you calling on the LTTE to also take care of the civilians that is under their control?
LTTE does not want these people, looks like these people to go get out of these areas. That's the official position. And we have not elected. We always ask elected governments to be responsible. LTTE is a guerrilla organization. It's not elected by us. Although we always call upon LTTE to respect these people and not to use these people as human shield. But LTTE up to now has not listened to that. The government has more responsibility towards its citizens and say that instead of trying to capture these areas, government probably have their military aims. I'm not going to contest that government should capture these areas or not, but I think government should prioritize their issues and look at the issue of humanitarian tragedy and see that how these people can be helped to get out of these areas or how these people can be fed and give medical supplies until we find a solution or kind of at least an agreement that everyone can agree to.
Okay, Sunanda, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with your advocacy at the UN Human Rights Council, and we hope you join us again very soon.